and Caitlin Clark after the WNBA closed its investigation on a game that took place in Indiana early this season between the Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky, where the Chicago Sky reported that there were some racial slurs thrown toward Angel Reese and their players. Now, through the investigation, we all saw the statement that the WNBA released. They was going to investigate that, and find out if there was any culprits to this matter. But you know what happened? The investigation took place, and they didn't find no evidence of any racial slurs or any racial taunts toward Angel Reese and the Chicago Sky players. So this has raised the eyebrow. We've known ever since Angel Reese has came in the league last year, every time she's played against Indiana Fever, there's been some racial things thrown toward her way. And the Indiana Fever fans show their face in droves when they talk about Angel Reese. They don't talk about Angel Reese basketball-wise. They talk about Angel Reese in a racial storyline. And they always want to put black against white. And they don't even want to talk basketball. And I've always said it's not fair to Angel Reese to endure these things because of what happened in a national championship game where she beat Caitlin Clark and pointed to the ring finger and did the "you can't see me," something that Caitlin Clark was doing. And then when Angel Reese did that toward Caitlin Clark and won the national championship, it was a big uproar. And ever since then, Angel Reese's life has changed. She's endured a lot, racial stuff, racial taunts, threats, everything. Family threats, emails sent to her mother, talking racial things, and it's getting out of hand. And Chicago Sky's first game this season against the Indiana Fever, there were some things that was said, and people know there were some things that was said. Now, we all know Dave Portnoy, he said some racial things toward Angel Reese. And he's one of the biggest Indiana Fever fans that there is, and a Caitlin Clark supporter. And through that investigation, it's unfortunate that things came back and nothing was found. But at the same time, Chiney Ogwumike, she came out and said some things when it all happened, and she backed up Angel Reese and what she was going through because she didn't want to see nothing racist or anything thrown toward Angel Reese. And she came with a stance where she was saying it's a possibility that these things occurred in Indiana because of who we're dealing with, Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever fans. Now, right now, Chiney is in hot water. So the ESPN and WNBA has forced Chiney to make a public apology. And the reason why they're forcing her to make a public apology is because of the fact that they don't want to smear these Indiana Fever fans and Caitlin Clark fans as racist. Now, it goes back to last year when the commissioner, Kathy Engelbert, had a chance to talk about the racial issues in the WNBA, to catch it full steam ahead. And she was on an exclusive interview on CNN, and she hopscotched over the racial things when the guy asked her about the racial things going toward Angel Reese. She hopscotched over it. She didn't make mention of it. She didn't address it. All she talked about was the rivalry and the money that it draws in. So she had a chance to face it head on, and she never addressed it. She just let it linger, and now it's spilled over into the second year of the WNBA that Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark have been in. So now ESPN and WNBA has forced Chiney to make a public apology to the Indiana Fever fans and the Caitlin Clark fans. Now let's take a listen to what Chiney had to say in her apology. Take a listen.
Hey, everybody. I'm sure you've seen the WNBA statement on the investigation. And I want to address this with the same energy I did the first time, because if you really know me, I always try my absolute best to uplift the WNBA, to celebrate the amazing players, the coaches, and of course the fans. That is something that is at the core of everything that I do. But if you know me, you know I'm not afraid to say I can do better. I am sorry that my message was in the heat of the moment, because when I initially spoke on the topic, it really came from a place of care. It was based on firsthand conversations with people very close to the situation who raised real concerns, and they told me what they had experienced. And I felt like it was important and it was necessary to acknowledge those allegations and also voice those experiences. Now, in the process, however, I totally recognize that it may have impacted fans in a way that I did not intend, and I am sorry. I'm also happy that the WNBA treated the matter with the utmost seriousness, followed through with the investigation, and I understand that having a platform comes with a responsibility, and I do not take that lightly. So as our league continues to grow, I am going to grow with it. And I am so committed to be better in how I share perspectives and grow alongside the game that I truly love and adore. I mean, some of my favorite memories as a pro was playing in Indiana, and I truly believe that WNBA, we have the most passionate fans, and I'm grateful for our community. I hope you know that's who I am. Love you guys. Thank you.
Now, guys, after listening to what Chiney had to say, that was one of them public apologies where your job is on the line. You either apologize or you're going to lose your job. Because if you listen to what she said, Chiney has been nothing but fair on her breakdowns and her analysis of the WNBA and women's basketball. Now she's getting a lot of backlash because she is standing behind Angel Reese. And she knows that. And that's why she made reference of one of her biggest enjoyments in the WNBA when she played was playing in Indiana. Why would you even make mention of that? So that goes to show you that ESPN and the WNBA forced her to apologize to the Indiana Fever fans and Caitlin Clark because of the fact that you don't want to paint this picture and keep this narrative going and keep putting gas on this fire about Indiana fans being racist. And we all know this occurs in Indiana even before Caitlin Clark got there. You go back to the days of Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson and the Lakers, you know, they was in the midst of that stuff from the Indiana, you know, Pacers fans. We all know what takes place in Indiana. And now that the investigation is over and they didn't find nothing, but I want y'all to listen to this clip that Alyssa Thomas said after the game when they played Chicago after the investigation was done. Now pay attention to what Alyssa Thomas said, because they experienced this same stuff last year in the playoffs. So let's take a listen to what she said, and it all makes sense. Let's take a listen.
One more.
Alyssa, last year you said during the playoffs against the Fever that you had never dealt with the level of fans of doing racial slurs to the teams on the floor and such. You never experienced that. The W just released a statement earlier today about the Fever Sky season opener, saying that they couldn't find anything through their investigation, sanctions. I mean, for substantiated from the information that they gathered. So does it make you feel any type of way when fans try to act like they're vindicated in a way that they're nothing, and that you experienced whatever that is the racial slurs and stuff?
Yeah, I think as a league, we stick together as players. You know, if she said she heard it, then, you know, we believe her. I believe her. I've heard a lot of things from the fans, and I think, you know, it's about basketball, and I think people have taken it too far. You know, people come to games and think they can say and do anything they want, and it's unacceptable. It's something that we're going to continue to fight for, regardless if they found anything or not. I know there's a lot of players that have heard a lot of things, so we're just going to continue to support each other in that matter.
Now, y'all heard exactly what Alyssa Thomas said, man, and I'm glad that she made that statement, because that goes to show that Alyssa Thomas was speaking from firsthand knowledge, that she experienced this last year in the playoffs as well. And like she said, if she heard it, I believe her. The only reason why you make a statement like that is because you experienced that yourself. So in this situation, a lot of players are backing Angel Reese. They know what comes when you're dealing with the Indiana Fever. And what the WNBA is trying to do is trying to not make it seem that Indiana is the only racist fan base in the WNBA. Man, we got to do better. I see everybody in the comment section, #salute. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, turn your post notifications on so you know every time Simply Ball drops another hot banger. Oh yeah, just in case I forgot, tell a friend to tell a friend. It might not be for you, but it might be for them. And that's going to wrap up another episode of the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. I'm your host and the man behind the mic, K-Sap. We're going to catch you on the next one. Deuces.
Thanks for listening to the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share on all major platforms.
That's all, folks.